Hey everyone, it's Justin here with Voices for Voices. Thank you so much for joining us on this show. Today, we are over 400 episodes total, and we are still in calendar year 2025. It's just been an incredible year uh, through a lot of adversity, which is everybody. Everybody goes through a lot of adversity every single year. Um, Still a little bit under the weather with uh with some congestion, but everything's a-okay over here. So aside from the congestion and my voice, we are good to go. We're just so grateful for Denmark, which is the latest country that is joining Voices for Voices, TV show and podcast that has embraced us. And so again, we are over 100 countries, over 1,000 cities across the world, including Greenland, Antarctica, North Korea, South Korea, Denmark, Italy, United Kingdom, Canada, Mexico, United States, Tasmania. So we got North America, South America, Africa, Asia, Oceania, Europe, everywhere. It just it's just a good time to be with Voices for Voices. We have quite a lot of activity that is going on in the positive, and we are taking that momentum as we finish out the calendar year of 2025, and as we get ready to turn a page to go and get started in calendar year 2026. So thank you for all that you've done for Voices for Voices. Thank you for sharing, for subscribing, for giving us a thumbs up, liking, commenting. Thank you for your purchases, your donations, uh, and just being yourself and listening and watching. Uh, Being a big part not only of this show, because this is our flagship uh production, I guess you can call it. And then I would call like our TikTok lives uh lower on that totem pole. But a lot of times we're able to get information out a little bit quicker on those TikTok lives. Um, but we are careful about making a balance of what and when we share on TikTok lives and what and when we share here on our show. That's again over 400 episodes. It's been around for over 2 years. It is amazing. We blew out of the water our goal of 300 total episodes by the end of calendar year 2025. We've blown that out of the water as we're over 400 total episodes. And that is, we're breaking goals with the no budget model. And for those that know anything about the no budget model, is when there's a no budget model, there's no budget. And so it is all hands on deck all day, every day. And it's because of people like you and organizations like you that keep us going, keep Voices for Voices, wanting to continue, wanting to continue helping others. We have that huge goal of helping 3 billion people at least over the course of my lifetime and beyond, whether that's something small, whether it's just a kind word, whether it is opening a door for somebody, or it is something much bigger. We do have big goals. Again, 3 billion people. That's a lot of people. But I know we can do it because we were able to uh, take a goal of 300 and smash that goal this year and go over 400. We're still, chatting about what 2026 looks like. And I don't think we're going to give any predictions because it doesn't do anybody any good. Because if we hit it, then that's great. And we say, yeah, we hit it like we did this year. And if we don't, then it's like, oh, see, just like every other organization. And we are. There's a lot of things that are similar between our organization and others. And there's a lot of things that aren't. I'd say the drive, the intensity, uh, in our organization outweighs many, many organizations. Uh, we are the hottest show, hottest TV show and podcast, whether you're watching or listening, no matter what uh, streaming service, uh, what podcast app you're using. If you're watching on Rumble or YouTube on our Voices for Voices channel, it doesn't matter. You get the same message, and if you're like me, you use multiple throughout the course of a year. And we've seen that, and that's great. And that's why we are making Voices for Voices as accessible as possible. That's why we have that broad swath. That's why when you see a social media post with all the links, it's because there's not one particular link, one particular app that we favor more than another, uh, because the people that listen on Apple and iVoo and iHeart and Spotify, or they watch, or you watch on YouTube or Rumble. It doesn't matter because if you're the number's the number. So if you're getting episode 401, it doesn't matter where you're getting episode 401 at. It's the same. And so that's why we include those on almost all our posts. I would say our X posts, because the limited characters and again running that zero or that no budget model, we're not verified, so we have limited characters that we have to utilize. So we have to be very cognizant of that as we make those posts, but still have enough information for those followers. And uh, it's just so incredible. I feel like every time we do a show like this, uh, we're doing a show in a stadium of like 50,000 of you, sometimes 100,000. Um, that's how the love and support and how we're being embraced by cultures all over the world, where we can have disagreements on political areas, but on human and culture areas, uh, the culture, if you don't live in the United States, everybody's culture gets the same respect from us. And so that's sometimes is a little hard to hear. Um, but it really is the truth because we're all individuals, we're all human beings. We know there's a lot of AI, and we know there's a lot of, those robot dogs and all kind of robots out there. And so while that is the case, there's a heck of a lot of humans out there as well. And that's what we are referring to when we talk about culture, and you hear the word folklore and myths, myths, like with mythical creatures around the world. It, it really is. just how we're reaching people is incredible. There's a lot of ways we're reaching people where the analytics that we're looking at doesn't capture all of that. Because as we know, with our, our devices, we have privacy options on there. And so if there's privacy options that are turned off, yet they're watching and listening, we're not going to get the numbers. We're not going to see those numbers translate to our analytic dashboard. We're just not. For individuals and organizations that have private servers, and so they're not going through Spectrum or Verizon. They may live in a little bit of a remote area, uh, maybe a mountainous area, and Spectrum and others. Um, and I'm not giving a plug for Spectrum at all. So I'm not saying you have to get Spectrum. I'm not saying you have to get Verizon. I'm just using them as examples that there's certain parts of the world that are getting their they're getting their information from from maybe a satellite, like Elon Musk and his organization that provides, literally can be anywhere in the world and get access to internet and data and shows and podcasts. And so all the individuals, that's how we're reaching remote areas like Antarctica, like Greenland, uh, like areas that may have been closed off uh, in the past. And again, we're about culture and less about politics. Yes, there's sometimes where politics does creep in, and we try to keep that to a minimum, but we're also about unifying and bringing people together instead of dividing. So we have both sides of the aisle covered, right? So uh, we have BJ, who is running for governor of Oregon uh, next year. So we have a couple episodes with her that we interviewed, and we're open to other candidates for office. I think we're going to get more here in 2026 as more and more people actually start paying attention instead of just not, just pretend Voices for Voices isn't there. But they're finding out that like there's this there's this organization, this show, who is a nonprofit, by the way, uh, running again a zero budget, goal blasting organization, and that's us, Voices for Voices. Kind of can see that the shirt gets kind of wrinkled, and so it's all right. It happens. Uh, and so that's us. And so I think in 2026, we're open to bringing people, no matter where they're at on the political spectrum, if that's something that they're interested in, they can reach out. So that, we had BJ, who's on one side of the aisle. We have Senator Ted Cruz, who's on another side. Uh, and and again, that link is being a human being. And so there's more things that unite us than divide us. And you've heard that before. And that's not just a saying, that's where we fully believe that there is. Yeah, there's hot button issues that come up and are polarizing here in the United States and other parts of the world. But in general, I would say we're very similar. Uh, so that's my take on that. Uh, Again, I have this um, I I'm just still blown away by the numbers we have. Even our TikTok lives, we're starting to get some great feedback, some starting to get rid of some of the garbage that's out there, the comments that are garbage that people are just, making poor choices and the comments they leave. And some comments just it doesn't matter. There's just no place for them, no matter what show it is. So whether it's ours or somebody else's, uh, we can agree to disagree. We can have that discussion. When people are just leaving just very ugh, very I don't want to say disgusting, but some of them are. They're very disgusting. Some of them are, looking to divide, and we're looking to unite, and that's what we've done. And I'd say through everything that we've been through here in 2025, and even before, without knowing a little bit more about what we wanted to do as an organization, uh, we're starting to be molded and formed in a way that I don't think's ever been done before with us with Voices for Voices. I don't know. I don't know if it has been done. Maybe it has, but with this new we're going into 26. We're in the second term of what some may say is a polarizing president in the United States. Um, but we've had presidents all over the side of, on the left and on the right and in the center. And again, there's more that brings us together. And some reason some people want to just see polarizing and hear polarizing content. Sometimes ours will be a little bit polarizing, but we don't intend for that. We have intentions of unifying and again, voices for voices. Uh, it doesn't say voices on the left or voices on the right. It doesn't say voices making this much money or voices making that much money or voices living in this area of the world or it's voices for voices. It's universal. And that's why the acquisition that we made with mythical creatures around the world uh, lined up so beautifully because it's all around the world. Mythical creatures all around the world. And we're talking about voices for voices. We don't say, like I said, voices living here, voices living there. It's voices for voices. So some people are able to verbalize their voice and their story. Some uh, aren't. Some play music, some play a sport, and that's the way they express themselves. Uh, some may be an actor, an actress, and some may do sign language, some might play music. I think I mentioned that. Uh, and that's what it's all about. It's about sharing each other's voices to inspire others. Because I'll tell you what, at I'm age 44 right now, but when I was 18 and 17 and 16, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Um, I don't, maybe some people do, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And the landscape that it is now versus when I was 18, 17, 16, when I was kind of going through, that the phase of like, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to go and enter the military? Do I want to try college, even though my grades weren't that great. I had acne, I had braces twice, so I wasn't, uh, I won't say I wasn't, one of the cool kids. Um, I was kind of just, a little bit alone on an island, what it felt like. And I just look back at those times for me had absolutely nothing to do with my family. I'm nothing. It was what was available at, at the kind of the world in the United States level as far as content. I mean, we had a TV. We watched. I don't even remember even having like specific time through the early years that I could actually watch TV. And here we have family here that's uh have devices that not to their own, but they're using them, and that's an area that I have a little bit of some pushback with that with schools. That's not really well. I guess schools is part of it. The public school or I think private schools work a little bit similar. I could be wrong. So I'm just going to look at it from the public school side where, okay, I get it. The world's more digital. And so some of the teaching is through digital means. And I'm not gonna give a plug for any company, any laptop company, because I think it's across the board. I don't think there's just, excuse me, my nose is just itching. Okay. Sorry about that. Hopefully you're listening. If you're listening, you're not going to see me like having that that itch in my nose and that. But yeah. So I don't think it matters what company, what organization is providing the uh, tablets, the laptops, but whatever um, sorry, I get sometimes when I have this ring light or this, yeah. Kind of gets my eyes watering. So again, I'm all over the place. So again, I think we have we're more things that are together and than are not. So uh, what I was saying with having these laptops with kids in grade school, we know that the brain forms from the back to the front, with the front being kind of that rationalization part, the frontal lobe. And uh, and so with that, sorry, I'm for you listening, my eyes are giving me a one of these there we go. Kind of these allergy type of deals where it just decides at any given moment I'm just gonna start watering. Um, so so there's this digital teaching where there's a lot of content, whether it's digital or not, and and so schools are using both. They're using digital and kind of how I was taught for the most part, where we might have a movie every once in a while, we might have case studies a little bit later on in college and university and more in high school, primary school and secondary and so what I'm trying to get at in this long roundabout way is so we have these netbooks, we have these things, so we're putting them in first graders' hands, okay? Putting them in first graders' hands. What do you think the maturity level of a first grader is? If anybody's ever had a first grader, I don't remember being in first grade, but my brain evolved in the same manner as a lot of ours. And so we're putting these devices in front of these kids during school, after school, and there's great programming. This isn't to go off on uh all the programming. There's a lot of educational program that is great. It's teaching kids areas that math, reading, uh comprehension, and then there's others. And so the first thing I'm going to go off on is YouTube. And I know our show's on YouTube. Um, but a first grader should not be, even with some of these shows, should not be watching YouTube. And I know I'm going to make YouTube upset. Uh, I'm not saying YouTube isn't good. I'm just saying for a first grader to have access to YouTube, kind of even in that, like for kids, uh, not all the content that says it's for kids is really for kids, especially a first grader. Uh, for me, it's interesting because, I look at it from a parent standpoint, and it could just be me. It could be part of my autism and the loud sounds and lights and things. But it seems like an awful lot of the content is, it sounds to me like a car salesman commercial of come buy this, come by our dealership. And it's almost like they're screaming and yelling, and there's this echo as if they're in the Taj Mahal, in these structures where the voices just echo and they're so loud, and there's these challenges that are, in most cases, the challenges they have, they're unrealistic to the average person, to the average child, to the average family. I'm just saying, I'm just keeping it real. And I don't think that kids growing up, especially in first grade, should have access to this content. So I think there should be more restrictions on the content that are first graders, and certain it should be, you know, YouTube and others they can claim that it's age appropriate, and they can I don't it doesn't matter to me. It does not appear age appropriate. Um, it's loud. Again, it's loud, it's intense. You have children that are, either have been or ha somebody like me. I was 37 or so when I was diagnosed with, the low spectrum autism. And so for me in first grade, I wouldn't have known that I had autism, but it would kind of rub me a certain way. And I would have just expected that that's just how life is supposed to be. And that these challenges, like when, hey, we're going to go to the store and buy every single princess doll, every single this, every single that, and then we're going to open them up, and then it's, I get it. It's fun. It's something, it's exciting, but I don't think it should be offered on school school given laptops or tablets. I don't think there needs to be more restrictions. I don't know where that comes from. Again, I'm not trying to badmouth YouTube because our show's on YouTube and it does fantastic, and we're so grateful for YouTube to put our show on YouTube. But we don't try to put things and shows out for children. Uh, and I wouldn't want our show to be in a first grader's lap, literally, where, parent walks away and the child's has access to shows that are not appropriate for them. So I think there needs to be more restrictions. I'm not saying we need all kind of oversight and all that. But I think we do for, our children, our most vulnerable, our children. That's where they're being molded at such a young age. And what we know about blue light and how it's addicting and how it leads to sometimes, behavior modification, being upset and, one more minute, 5 more minutes, let me just finish this show, let me finish this. And they're not, and the children aren't choosing to um, play as much with their toys or building things and it really it kind of bothers me if you can't tell. Uh, so I would like to see more restrictions. Like it just shouldn't even be available. I'm I'm not sorry. YouTube should just not be available on a first grader's laptop. I don't care. Across the board, full stop. YouTube at any level. I don't care how much vetting is done. YouTube should not be available or um, any other platform like that. Uh, if it's we're going through and we're doing okay, we have 7 oranges and we have 3 apples. Uh, how much fruit do we have? And then okay, and then the counting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We say, well, we have 10 individual fruits. We have 7 oranges and 3 apples. And then we can get into fractions. And like that's what I picture and have pictured for children that have these devices that um, literally they're molding them. They're gonna turning them again, right, into comparison and judging what people have, what they don't have, and like, oh, well, this family went here and they did all these things that cost all kind of money without knowing, or even maybe knowing that usually the kids won't know, but the parents should know. And if they don't, well, I'm telling you right now, they're being paid by these companies. So they're getting things for free. So it's kind of like product placement in a movie or TV show where there is a certain soda that is sitting on the table while a conversation is going on between 2 people. And so that soda company paid money to have that soda in that particular scene for so many seconds or minutes. And that is an advertising expense. Same thing. You have these families doing these trips and they're going and they're rating this room and going, okay, well, here's a suite and here's a 1 bedroom. Here's, all these different things that they're looking at. Uh, and so it makes children think like, oh, well, when and if we go on vacation, we should be able to stay at this one because this family did, and they were on my netbook or my tablet, and I really think there's already enough comparison and enough judging and judgment out in the world, uh, as we've seen with the mental illness, the mental health that's gone, that's just coming out all over the place, the last 20 years or so, where it's coming to the forefront. Do we want to have that for another 20 years? Because that's what we're basically doing. We're basically saying, okay, if you're 20 and older, so uh, we can let's talk about it and well, for some people it's too late. And that's where our show, we talk about real issues. For some people, it's too late to wait till somebody's 20 years old, 18 years old, after they've been given a, a tablet, a laptop since first grade with content like this. And that doesn't even count the family's content that goes on to the TV, where all the child has to do is, scroll over to, if the avatar, or, the like, okay, it's a picture of uh, this favorite animal or this picture or whatever it is, and says, okay, here's the family one, or like the adult one, and then here's the child one. All the child has to do is uh, move the cursor over to the adult one, and it becomes adult content. And even the child content is, again, going back to the tablet argument of they're seeing the same thing times 10. Uh, and so I think we need to rethink. And I'm not this, reconstructionist person. I'm just saying, let's just have common sense. Let's just say, okay, do we want, again, a first grader who ends up in like sixth grade or fifth grade be judging so much more than what they already do? Like if they're on a sports team, that puts them up here. They're a cheerleader. They're all these things. And if they're not, then it's just like they're just a regular person. And like me, I just get overlooked because I was good at sports, and then all of a sudden I wasn't, and I had acne, and then I had the mental health thing, my mental illness going on, and then I overdosed and took 32 cold and cough pills, and I wasn't even 20 years old when that happened. And I didn't even have a tablet in front of me showing me to judge this way and that way. All I had was like, well, I'm just being competitive. And so my friends are taking this, so I'm going to do that. Uh, and I wasn't right. And my friends at the time weren't right. But it happened. And I didn't have a tablet. And so I just automatically think like, okay, these kids, I mean, I'm already starting to see it with our child, watching, especially over break, where they're, out of school for a day or a week or 2 weeks. And, uh, it's easy just to be like, yeah, yeah, do this. So let's do this together. And they say, hey, I'm watching this show. And again, this is the show that I'm talking to you about that claims to be teaching the children, right? Because that's what we're supposed to be doing in school, right? We're supposed to be teaching the children. We're not supposed to be teaching them to judge and to be yeah, like, oh, I don't like her because of this, or I don't like him. That stuff's already gonna happen. Full stop. But you're given these tablets and laptops to these children, and you're not vetting that content when it's on a YouTube or another platform. Like seriously, that needs to be a number one priority. And if it is, a school district that says, well, this is just how the world, or how the United States, or how the state of Ohio, or wherever we live, it's just how we do it. Well, maybe be a little bit different. Why be like every other school? Why not do something and be a different and better? Like, you want to have a different and better product when you want to go to the world to sell something. Why don't you have a different and better approach that says we value children so much that we're taking this standard protocol from these organizations that are just making money so hand over fist, and we're gonna go and we're gonna vet every single product, every single show. And we might start out with one show, and then we go to two shows, then we go to maybe 10. But at least we know that those 10 or those two or that one show is not gonna be about the judging and not about separating people and say, oh, look at this, like this person and that person, on top of uh, the volume, being so loud and the echo. I mean, it bothers me as an adult and as a parent when I hear it. Okay, so that's part of my autism. I get it. But like it should not be presented to first graders. It should not be presented to first graders. That's only the first thing. And I know I went on a little bit of a rant, but it's because I feel so passionate about this and our organization. That's why I did it. That's why I'm doing the show the way we're doing the show. So that's the first thing. So we need to vet these shows. And if it takes hiring somebody new, a different, we can say, oh, we don't have the money, we don't have the tax money, we don't have this. Well, guess what? Do you want to worry about paying somebody 60, 70, 80, 100,000 a year to actually get to actually make a generation in a geographic area have a better chance at behavior and behavior modification? Or are we just saying, well, sorry, we don't, you know, you present it this way to parents, and I guarantee you they would vote for a person, an extra role, or moving somebody over that's just handing these devices out, and that's all they're doing. They're doing that and then they're fixing them, but the content, it's there. Uh, So that's the first thing that I have an issue with. And I think most parents do too. Um, and I know with my mental health, first of all, we all have mental health. We already know this. We go over it all the time, but we all have it. Okay. Those of us that have mental illnesses or a mental illness that either has been diagnosed or it hasn't been diagnosed, you are taking a program or a show and you're putting it on steroids times like a gazillion because that's what's making the impression in the mind of that person that may or may not know that they have a mental illness. Because those are the things that you think about. You take somebody like me, and uh, growing up and uh, just just being myself. Again, this has nothing to do with my family or just me as a human being. If I had these devices in front of me, oh my gosh, you think about being reclusive and being secluded. Goodness gracious. I was finding time to hang out in my room and I didn't have a phone, a digital device. I had like a CD player, uh, and I could put like one CD at a time, and maybe there were 15 songs on there, and so I mean that's like what I had. So that's how I know music played a and still does play a big role for me. Um, but I look at, man, if I had that tablet from literally coming out of kindergarten and having that and having shows, like if it's not teaching a specific thing, it's a specific area, like I mentioned earlier with the math. It's like, okay, how many, here's a table And here are how many different fruits are there? Okay, well, okay, those look like oranges, and you have them all mixed in. Okay, how many how many different kinds of fruit? Okay, I see three different fruits. What are they? We got apple, oranges, and pears. Okay, how many of the apples, oranges, and pears? Okay, that is a show. That is education that should be in front of our children. So that should be a show, and it should be shows like that, and not screaming and yelling and having these contests that all people think of, because that's what I think of when I see them. I'm like, all I see is advertising, advertising, advertising. uh, Individuals, families. People think that like the families that are together on these shows are actual families. Some of them may be, but these are the shows. These are like the reality shows. So you're taking like maybe a dad from this family, a mom from this family, a child from this family, and and they have that makeup of like, so when they do their shows, they're able to do certain things. Like maybe it's an athletic thing, maybe it's a building thing, maybe I don't know. But what I do know is these kids, they're getting the impression, and if I'm getting the impression as a 44-year-old adult and parent, I know darn well that these children are that don't even have the frontal lobe of their brain uh, developed. Because my frontal, I mean, it's developed, but I, I have mental illness, and that's okay. So you're taking people with and without mental illness or mental illnesses, and it's like the spot that's to be rational to say, okay, I know that this family might not be the real family. It's just taking a dad, a mom, and children, and that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the things are doing, like everybody doesn't, all families, and even if you're not in a, no matter what type of family you're in, or have a guardian, or with your grandma and your grandpa, or aunt and uncle, it shouldn't be expected every time you go to a store you buy something because you saw it on so many videos that, well, so and so, they got to buy something. And so then that comparison at first grade, not second, not third, not fourth, not fifth, not sixth, not seventh, not eighth, not ninth. That is high school. Okay. And if you're just going to take school districts and just roll over and say, well, this is what everybody else is doing, well, you're not a value add school district. And so that's why our show and our organization ruffles feathers, is because we bring up topics like this. This is a very important topic, very important show. And it's why we're going over it. And I haven't even gotten to that second part. I tried to get to that second part, but I haven't yet. So that's the first, okay? That's the first thing that needs to be done. We need to hire somebody or somebodies, every school district, every school, however it needs to be, and they need to go through each and every thing, and with these big, multinational companies, and that's the kind of content they need. And if an organization's unwilling to do that, sorry, I don't want your product. If it only supports one way, well, I'll go the highway then. I don't want to go that one way because I don't want responsibility for 1,000 kids in my school district or more or less to grow up believing that. I can't help from a family perspective, but from a school perspective, I can. So whether that's an informational technology person, I don't know. You people are getting paid big money at these school districts to make these decisions, so make it happen. I'm not the only parent that feels this way. I'm just one that's actually has a platform to be able to share. And so I'm demanding that school districts do this. In the school district that I live in and my family lives in all school districts, because it's not just my child that we care about. We care about all voices for voices, every single child, every single adult, every single adolescent, every single senior citizen. It doesn't matter. We care about voices, all voices. And I don't want to see the rates of suicide and uh, all these other, you know, probably get downgraded for saying that word, but it's truly happening. Again, these children might not make it to age 20. Okay? Think about it. Do we want, is that what we want? I've already made a decision. That's not what I want for my child and the children that they surround themselves with in the school district. I've already had to come out and share, and I guess I'll share it on here because I think it might have been a TikTok live or maybe it was a show. So we have active shooter training and for these events that again, they're happening. They're not just happening in gated communities, they're happening everywhere. And it is a daggone shame. And did you ever wonder or think that devices and programming and games and different things could be leading to that? Is this a precursor? I don't know. Something to think about. But we do these active shooter, we do these we're all connected where okay, we're gonna send a newsletter home and let Johnny and Sarah's mom and dad and or who the guardians are. We're gonna let them know that we're doing these things. We're preparing for the hopeful non-event to happen. Uh, and so we have this texting system. We'll let everybody know, and then there'll be a spot, and you'll be able to reconvene with your child or who you're guardian to. But we don't have that same system, or we just won't use it when, and this has been a couple months, this happened, and this is in the school district that I live in, that my child lives in, and if it happened here, it can happen anywhere. High schooler, I'm not going to give any other high schoolers waiting for the bus, okay? Out at the waiting at the bus stop. Must have been the only person at the bus stop. So they're there waiting for the bus on a school day, regular school day. Hadn't been told anything about a substitute bus driver or anything like that. A lot of that stuff sometimes, right? Sometimes we don't find out until like the day of that, like, oh, I'm not feeling well, I'm sick, or I need to help a loved one. And so there's going to be times where we're going to have substitute bus drivers, teachers, anybody to come to help out. And so this bus came to this high schoolers, doesn't even matter if they're in high school, came to this child's bus stop with no name, no city on the side of the bus, comes, stops, opens the doors, not wearing any shirt, and is wearing a surgical mask. And the child's there, and the person that is driving says, "Oh, I'm the substitute bus driver for today. Just, climb climb on in." Luckily, that child, through good parenting, and I tried to we're trying to get the one of the parents on the show, and I understand because it's very sensitive, but it was posted in a chat room. It was actually somebody that doesn't even live in this area that used to live in the area that notified me about this. And this child had enough wherewithal to say, something's not right here. And said, sorry, I'll have, my parent drive. I don't know what actually the exact conversation was, but they didn't get on the bus. And thank the Lord that they did not get on that bus. Because 15 minutes later, the real bus came with the real bus driver and recognized other children on the bus and the bus driver and got on that bus, went to school. The parent told the bus driver said they would tell somebody at the bus garage, what happened. We don't know if they did, or at least I don't know. And then the parent went to the police department, uh, who has told me that they don't have enough people for cyber stalking and when those things happen. So we're just supposed to let those happen because we just don't have enough people. So that's neither here nor there. But the same police department took down the police report, and there was no email, no text, school district wide about this incident. And you would think that human trafficking, hmm, somebody without their shirt on, with tattoos and a surgical mask, with no city or school district on the side of the bus. Hmm. So where are the priorities of our the people at the top at these school districts? And I'm talking about my school district where my child goes. Why was there no text message? Why was there nothing alerting? Because if that child didn't get on, there may have been others that did get on and they disappear. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the numbers were. I have no clue. And luckily, that child had the wherewithal and they saw something that didn't line up. And again, thank the Lord they did not get on that bus. So there's things like this that are going on. We're putting our children in these situations, and luckily that child had the wherewithal to get on that bus. But what if another child or other children did? Just like what happens when a child since first grade, since the age of, 6, maybe 7, uh, has access to a digital device, a laptop, a tablet, and the programming on there says, "Hey, yeah, like this is how life operates." Because some of these shows they talk to strangers. So that starts to erode stranger danger. And I want my child growing up going, you know what? I don't recognize the person. I'm just going back to the house. Somebody's at the door. Let let the mom, let dad, or don't let them get the door because their children are everybody is a prized possession. But I can't think of anybody in anybody's family that is more prized than a child in their mind and what they see and what they hear and how they develop. And then you put them in with other children that are at various levels, and the judging starts sooner. arguments, the behavior. And so I'm demanding that our school district, I'm not going to say the exact one for obvious reasons, but everybody knows the school district that I live in. And I'm demanding that these tablets, just the way you audit at the end of each year. Like, okay, well, we handed out, 1,000 tablets that, and here are the names, and we audit. Do we have 1,000, and do they match up? And just the way we do that, we should do the same thing with the shows and the content that is on these devices. That if they're not teaching, the whole show needs to be teaching. The whole show. If not, then it doesn't pass that criteria and it doesn't go on those devices. And it's not even an option. If you put it as an option, somebody's gonna click that. If it's not an option, it's like they say with the 401k. If somebody has uh retirement money that's put away before they even see it when they get their paycheck, then they're not going to spend it because they're not seeing it. But if you put it in their paycheck and say, hey, yeah, take it to the bank or take it and send it in, it's gone so fast. Uh, and so we're doing the same thing. So we're putting content in children's in their orbit, and uh, they're the ones making the decisions, like which one do they click and if they're watching, and then it's like, sorry, I can't help out because I'm watching this show. And it, I get it. I get it. We all use, to a certain degree, digital devices. The older we get, the say like the safeguards should go have the opportunity to go down. But if my child's going to school and they're given a device and they're being taught and their friends are being taught and they're given the option to pick these shows, I can't tell a difference between what's on. There are some things that are pretty obvious where I can say, oh, okay, this is perfectly fine. But there's others that I hear and I see on these devices that are just the same I see on our streaming service on our TV. And that's just being honest about what's happening in life. And then secondly, advertising. So I think of, services that, there's a regular, which is free, and then there's which has commercials. And they might be 30 seconds or 60 seconds or 90 seconds after so many minutes or played of the show. So not only do we have the show situation, right? We have another advertising thing going on these devices. We're putting car commercials in front of children. That's not that's not by accident. It's not by accident. Think of a child that's born in a hospital or anywhere. I'm just saying, they're born in a hospital. The diapers they get, there's a certain like supply of like, wipes and that usually goes home with a family, uh, and whatever brand that is, the brands like the brands of the diapers and the wipes and that they're they're sending their products to these hospitals in the hopes that when the parent needs a refill, that they go, oh, we got these at the hospital and we got, a sample size, it's not sample amount, so we're just going to get the same amount and the same brand. And then you think of how many years uh, disposable diapers are. It's a lot of money. Just like when you put a car commercial in front of a first-time buyer, the more they see, the more they get ingrained, the more they hear. And so they're first graders that have these devices. And I know for a fact. And so I'm going on over to that second thing, okay? So already talked about the first thing. The second part of this conversation is that in these particular shows, there are commercials. Why is there a car commercial for a 7-year old or a 6-year old? Why is that even shown? Okay. Why? And there's others. That's just the most recent one that I remember because it doesn't fit with the demographic. It may fit with the demographic of the parents, but not the child. So why is that on my child's device and a lot of other children's devices that they get at school? So I demand that that gets taken off too. There should be no commercials. It's either a device for school for teaching or it's not. It's plain and it's it's plain and simple. We're not creating something new. It's either for teaching or it's not. So when we had our different counters when I was growing up, I forget what they're called, but we were counting. We didn't have the car commercial and all kind of other uh, commercials that on top of the content, it was like, okay, we're in a typing class, so we're gonna type. Like how many words a minute or whatever, and we would talk about these things. That was a digital thing, but we didn't have a like, oh, where there's games and we didn't have that. It was we're here and this is what we're doing, and we only had access to what we were doing in class. And so if we're doing these digital shows in class and school, and it's just my eyes watering. So if you're seeing it on in person on our video, I apologize. But if you're listening, you won't you won't see that because you're listening. You're not gonna have that visual. Uh, so that's what's happening now. And so how are these teachers teaching? How much are they utilizing these tablets and let's say we got a pizza pie, but instead of, whether it's, pepperoni or any other ingredients, let's say we got this pizza pie shape of a circle, and we say out of out of a full day of school, like just in general, okay? And I know there's different, some days are different and there's testing and there's all kind of things. But I just want to say, like, in general, how much of that pie, so if there are, let's say school starts at 9 and it ends at 3. That's 6 hours, 20 minutes for lunch. So you just subtract that out. So you got 8 hours and 40 minutes. How much of that 8 hour and 40-minute pie is devoted to using the digital devices, but not only using the digital devices, but using these programs that have these shows on there that aren't teaching. I don't care what a family's challenge is doing in the middle of summer. Uh, I don't care about that, and I don't want my child to have that. I mean, if they want to, that's a decision for a parent to make if they want their child to see that content. I don't want the device that my child and their friends and everybody across the whole school district and everybody across the world, frankly. I don't want to have that content. So they're seeing that and watching that while they're at school. So then they automatically, just when they come home, go, oh, okay, let me just go over here, click this button, and then that takes me there. Okay. So we have we have big problems in our school systems. And this isn't a conspiracy theorist. This is the truth. I've seen it with my own eyes, with my own little person. So it's not just my little person. It's all the little people in our school district and these big organizations. And it's not okay with me as a parent. And if other parents knew, actually gave a damn about it. Sorry, I used the word damn. Oh, we got to get all up around about the word damn, but yet we can do all these, these other things. Uh, and so I want children all over the United States, all over that has the ability to make change, to do it, to go out there publicly on a show like this that a lot of people are going to see and listen to. If this ruffles feathers, so be it. Ruffle away because it's long past due. I didn't think these things occurred. I knew that, children be introduced to technology but I thought it was very specific. And there were like, okay, if we're doing if we're doing arithmetic, we got one app. And all that app is arithmetic. It's not a family. It's arithmetic. If we have vocabulary and reading and writing, those apps, it's reading and writing. Read a passage and then write. Or if it's just writing, okay, here's what we're writing. Follow what's the program? Like we're writing jelly. So we're writing Jelly. And that's what should be on these devices. So when they come home, that's what they want to do. They're like, and if they don't want to do it, then they're looking for something to be a kid. If I play a little guitar, so if my little person wants to play a little guitar or just strum or play the piano and just or the drums, and it doesn't even have to be a song, just do something that uh is not force fed to our children. Because in the world, enough, we have enough issues that are going on in the world. And so we're literally just every single day, we're adding to the problems. And I'm not saying every single child that is gonna grow up and and have certain uh, judgmental thoughts. And I'm not saying every single person, but when you give an option, there's going to be more people than not. There's going to be more people. If you put that option on that screen of that device, a kid might say, "Oh, well, we were using this one over here, but let me see what this is." And then they click it, and then they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, it says it's for kids, and the school district says that's okay, and they didn't care about big tech, and they just big tech just vetted everything for them, and so the school district didn't want to do anything different. They just wanted to just be like the sheep and just follow one direction. So be the change, be different." Be the school district that says no more am I going to put this content in front of my children that I oversee as a teacher, as a superintendent, as an assistant or associate superintendent. No longer am I going to not have a district-wide text message go out when a child could have been human trafficked. They could have disappeared. We're going to be different. We're going to be that change. We want to get that type of press. They don't want the type of press that I'm giving them. So this has been a pretty straightforward show. We thank everybody that watches and listens because we know you're as passionate as I am and as our organization is about our children, about our futures, about future generations, our future leaders, just our future human beings. I want to give them a chance to be kids. Let them be a kid, not a kid that's force-fed content that they should have no business having on a school device. And then on top of that, have commercials for cars and trucks that are the same commercials that are on regular streaming, same type of commercial. It doesn't say, kids, tell your parent. No. And so yeah, you can hit skip after a certain amount of time, but repetition and then repetition, then it gets in the heads and the minds. And so I hope more people are like us, like Voices for Voices. We're willing to step up to the plate and actually say something. Step up to the microphone. If nobody's giving you a microphone, create your own microphone. Create your own show. You only have to have one episode. You don't have to have 401 or two or 5,000 shows. All you need is one show. Show up to school board meetings. Some people have. And these aren't conspiracy theorists. These people, the ones I'm talking about, the individuals that show up and they're seeing some of this stuff. But as the children get older, it gets progressively, right? They're going to get progressively less standards of, though, the company that's selling them the technology will say that they have all that programmed in their algorithm and they don't need to worry about that. It's totally child appropriate. But I don't know any 7-year-olds that drive trucks on the road in the United States of America. Maybe there is. Maybe there's more than maybe I don't know. Maybe there are some. I mean, there are some 7-year-olds that drive. trucks and cars, and that's just a common occurrence. They get in their car and they drive to school, first grade. Okay, see how silly this sounds? Well, it's not very silly when it's actually going on. And so that's why we're demanding changes need to be made by school districts, starting here at home. And it shouldn't be a question of, well, we don't have enough money. We don't have enough. Well, instead of building that stadium, instead of building that addition or that new school, why don't you spend a fraction of that money and hire somebody and have some standards and have some balls to actually stand up for the children that you say that you are here to help, to teach, to help support. Don't give me this crap about we don't have the money and that, and then you're asking for more money and a levy to go do again, go build our stadium. Let's add some lights. Let's add a pickleball court. Let's add this, but we can't add somebody to actually fix the damn technology that's going in front of our children and have a 7-year-old have content that is inappropriate, to have advertisements. Why is there a truck commercial when there's a 6, 7-year-old? What? Like, that's the target market, right? You go inside the boardroom of that car commercial, that car company, and they're saying, no, 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 no. That's not the demographic. It's the family. It's the mom, it's the dad, it's the grandma, it's the grandpa. See what I mean? So let's fix some of this stuff. Let's do something. Let's stop sitting on our hands. Let's stop just like going, oh, this isn't happening. This is happening somewhere else. It's not happening where I live. And, my children and, they're not being, they're smart. So, they won't have to get to them. They won't get on that bus, and that substitute bus driver claims to be the substitute bus driver. What about that child that's on the device and then they just, the door opens and they just go and they get on the bus. Don't tell me it's never happened before. Try asking a child to get ready for bed and they got a device and they got to go up a set of stairs, even if it's 2 or 3. Sometimes they trip up the stairs because they're so fixated on what's happening on that screen. So thank you for joining Voices for Voices. Thank you for being part of our movement of helping others. This is one, two major ways, probably more than that. We'll probably cover probably about 10 or 15 different ways that we can help change the world. And so be that change with us. Be that person. Be that administrator. Be that adult. Be that person that oversees 1,000 students, 2,000, 3,000. Be the change. Can we do that? Can we do that for our little people? Can we do that for our children? And even if we have children that are grown, they're out of if they want if they went to college, university, or they're older. See, I think that's part of the problem too, is some of these individuals that are working at these schools and are in these positions, they have kids that are grown and they're not. And so that's in their mind and that's clouding their judgment. Like, well, this is what's out there today. So, um, or, oh, my boss won't let me do that. I can't bring anything up because I don't want to worry about losing my job. And guess what? Do you want to have change and do you want to help people for generations? Or do you just want to be like, okay, I'm just going to do exactly what I'm told? And um, I've made a decision where I'm not doing the traditional thing. Trust me, and I've heard a lot of people just say, well, why don't you just do something different? That's just a hobby, and it's helping generation. Is that a hobby? Helping get content that should not be in front of a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 6-year-old, 10-year-old, 9-year-old. Again, give me the percentage of children that are between the ages of 6 and 13 that are driving themselves to school every day. I hope you're laughing. Actually, no. Some are gonna laugh and some are, yeah, right, Justin. Nobody does. Very little. Such a small percentage. Why would you bring that up? Because I have seen and I have heard car commercials in the middle of what is on and programmed by either the school district or my child or by big tech that just hands them to the school districts and just say, we got it all covered. See, here's all the different things that we have. Well, we're looking out for our little people. Oh, are we? Okay. So let me just close out by saying this. So these are the same companies that these are the same companies that had until the Take It Down Act that came out of the Dallas, Texas area by Elliston Berry and Miss Anna and Senator Ted Cruz, where a minor child in high school, she may, she might not even been in high school when this happened, showed up to school and somebody had taken, I don't know how many, maybe a couple of her Instagram photos and turned them into nude photos. That's here in the United States, everybody. This happened. This isn't some conspiracy theorist. This actually happened. Miss Anna reached out to every official politician in the area, reached out to big tech. Big tech basically gave a big FU and said, yeah, sorry, or they didn't even answer. Same thing. Nothing happened. It wasn't until, again, these are the same big tech companies that are feeding these devices to our children. And we're just supposed to, as family and parents and guardians, just to say, oh, yeah, they know what's best. Really? Really? Don't give me that bullshit. And I'm not sorry about the language. Don't give me that bullshit. Because Miss Anna, with all the people she contacted, she finally got through to Senator Ted Cruz's office. A U.S. senator, not just in the state. He's from the state of Texas. And he has a daughter. I think he has two daughters. I think Senator Cruz has two daughters. One is a year older, one is a year younger than Ellison is. And so there's something in it where he's like, well, this could happen. If this happened to her, this could happen to my children. So he picked that legislation up. He put that together in the state of Texas. It's called the Take It Down Act. It got passed. However, big tech is a federal entity. So Texas couldn't really enforce the law the way a federal law would be able to. So what did Senator Ted Cruz do? He took that legislation from around the Dallas, Texas area. He took that to Washington, D.C. He got the Senate, the United States Senate, and the United States House of Representatives to pass the Take It Down Act. And now it's the Take It Down federal law. The President Donald J. Trump signed, sitting right next to his wife, the First Lady, Melania Trump. And so now you don't have to be Taylor Swift. You don't have to be somebody that has staff that can, make a call and then say, "Oh yeah, 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 this is you." So yeah, we'll take those down. No, every American, every American, it's a federal law now. The Take It Down Act is the Take It Down federal law where two things happen. If somebody does this, big tech has 48 hours to take those down. And number two, the person or persons that did what they did to Elliston by taking innocent photos, putting them through a free AI program, and putting them up. And so when she showed up to school one day, everybody's whispering, and then they show her what happened. Now those individuals can be prosecuted. Unfortunately, can't go retroactive with this. So the individual uh, who did this to Elliston, and then there were a few other children that this happened to, so they can't go retroactive. But that's another reason where I'm talking about big tech like this. And I realize our show we rely on big tech a lot, getting our show out to the masses. And so there's great things with big tech, but I'm not going to trust big tech who was in charge of. It wasn't until Senator Ted Cruz's office called Instagram and said, take this shit down, take these pictures down. It wasn't until then. And there was a period of time. It wasn't like it was like overnight because they fought big tech, this is. They fought and fought and fought, and they wanted to try to keep it quiet. Senator Ted Cruz said, I'm not keeping this quiet. Miss Anna said, I'm not keeping this quiet. Miss Elliston said, I'm not keeping this quiet. Their children said, I'm not keeping this quiet. And it got to the President of the United States, and I don't care what side of the aisle, left, right, middle, I don't care where you're at. It just makes human sense that every child should have that right if that were to ever happen. God forbid if that were to ever happen. And so when we did interview Senator Ted Cruz in Washington, D.C., when we did present him with the 2025 Voice of the Year, it's because of the heroic act that he did. He took something that he could have just turned the other way and act like it wasn't there. And he said, no, like, we're handling this. And he got it handled. So for all the people to say, oh, you're, right-wing conspiracists, I just mentioned at the beginning of the show, BJ for governor of Oregon isn't isn't a conservative. So try another argument. So that's why I don't trust big tech with what they're putting in front of my child. and other children. And it's going to take a movement, and it's going to take people like me, like Voices for Voices, people like you, organizations you work with. It's going to take your family members, text, call 25 of your closest family members, and let's make America safe again. Actually, not just make America safe again. That's over the overarching, but make American children safe again. Let's do it. This is how we affect change. It's got to get started somehow. And by golly, we are the somehow. So thank you for joining this episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. We love you no matter who you are, what side of the aisle you're on, whether you're a believer in God, whether you're not. We're praying for each and every individual each and every day. So we love you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share, share, share. Text 25 of your friends. Let them know about Voices for Voices. We want people to be safe, healthy, prosperous. We don't care what side of the aisle. We don't. We want human beings to be safe, healthy, and prosperous, whatever that means to them. Doing things safely, though, not putting information in front of our children whose frontal part of their brain has not been fully formed until their 20s. So this is Justin Allen Hayes, Voices for Voices. We love you. Celebrate all voices. And please be a voice for you or somebody in need. Have a great day. We love you.